The Brewhouse was created to capture and share with you the long history of the Genesee Brewery, but the brewery itself isn't half as interesting as the beer and the people who make it. Visit GeneseeBrewhouse.com. Hello everyone and welcome into the original Rochester Press Box presented by the mighty Genesee Brewhouse. We are on location at the Brewhouse as we are the first Wednesday at 12:30 of every month. So, we certainly invite you to come down and watch the recording of the show. Happy to be joined by Pat Duffy, WCMF.
This is the first time I'm not like a foot taller than everyone else on the stage. It's making me uncomfortable.
We will get to that.
Yeah.
Mike Catalano co-hosting from 13 Wham News.
Good to be back.
And it is our extreme pleasure to welcome in Roosevelt Bowie for the very first time, the pride of Kendall, New York. Syracuse University, had his number retired last year, been all around the world playing basketball, knows his stuff. Kendall, nice to have you.
Thank you, my pleasure.
All the basketball talk this year has been about, Steph Curry, three-point shooting. The game is changing. You came from a different era. You were playing professionally through the 80s. Is it changing and is it good?
It is changing. There was, I used to think it was kind of incredible that at Syracuse we used to have to run the mile under 6 minutes, and then we used to have to run the mile under 6 minutes ball handling, dribbling, and we had to keep those times very close. And I thought it was the craziest thing that we had to learn how to dribble, weave with the ball, pass. I did my workouts with the guards, so it only makes sense that they would continue to work and continue to get better so that you got bigger guys that are better. But I always knew that I could handle the ball, but Coach Boeheim came out once and he said, "Oh, big men can't handle the ball." And I said, "No, I can handle the ball." And he said, "Well, I prefer that you didn't." And I said, "Well, I can do that." But it doesn't surprise me because you got players that are being raised by ex-NBA players. So they already know what it takes to be a pro, and they get their kids started at a young age. So it doesn't surprise me that there's so much more talented. But we're involved with the inside game. Everything was on the inside. What you wanted to get the ball inside, to pull all the attention inside. So when you got the shot from the outside, it was a little bit closer. But now you just got super talented guys that can shoot it.
Well, they're still getting we were watching the high school games this week with this. The Section 5 tournament was down at the War Memorial and everything. Everything was being kicked out, and everybody has taken more three-point shots than they ever did.
Yeah, you know what? I don't have any problem with the three-point shots. If I was close, once you know you have a three-point shooter, I like to warm up with a three-point shooter, and I watch him shoot, and you watch how the ball bounces. And then once you understand how the ball bounces, that's an advantage that you have. Then you understand you don't stay really close under the basket. You start further away from the basket, like Tyler Roberson does, and then once the shot is taken, then you can get to the ball with your quickness. But it was so funny. I was reading a comment that Oscar Robertson made about the coaches how they're playing Steph Curry, and he said, in my day, he would have been played from the locker room, full court, and they've been rotating men on him, so he would have been tired later in the game. And it made me remember I played against Oscar Schmidt, great Brazilian scorer, and he averaged like 35 points a game. And our goal was to make him work really hard, make him work 20, 25 seconds for every shot that he got, so that by the end of the game, the last 4 minutes, he couldn't draw iron, and we ended up winning by 3 or 4 points.
Now, I agree a little bit with what Oscar Robertson's saying is how you would play a guy like Steph Curry, but he is a phenomenal ball handler, has almost unlimited range, as we saw the other day. And to what Roosevelt's point was about the training of the players, it's interesting because of your European career. I've always been frustrated in the last few years watching basketball because you would hear about in Europe, not just big men, everybody. They work on drills, they work on handling the ball and shooting. And I'm hoping that Steph Curry's success gets more and more kids to think about those fundamentals. And I think it makes the game better when everybody knows how to shoot and handle the ball.
I'm worried it could go the other way, though. The NBA is a copycat league, and Steph Curry is a unique player.
Yeah,
I am worried that next season you get 10 GMs that decide they find their three-point shooter and a guy they think can handle the ball. And they're going to send a guy out there that ain't going to hit what Steph Curry is going to hit, and we are going to watch 40 to 50 games of clank basketball from the bottom 10 teams that think, oh, I got my guy, nobody knows about, I'm going to show him. Because Steph Curry came out of nowhere, too. Let's be real.
Well, we've talked about the kids who are growing up now, watching Steph Curry, and in another 10 years, those guys are going to know what they're doing.
Yeah, they are, but immediately it's not going to happen. You know, the other thing about Steph Curry, he's such a phenomenal ball handler. You always got to remember, by not playing him full court, you've got some guys standing still that's got him coming at them full speed, and they've got a split second. All he has to do is give him a head fake, and they lean one way, and he's gone. So there's going to be, you're going to start getting your big players doing that, which is fine. It's going to open it up for. There's going to be not only big shooters, but they're going to be guards that will become big rebounders because the ball's going to be bouncing long. Got to chase them down. This is going to create an open court, fast-paced game.
This is the original Rochester Press Box presented by the Genesee Brew House. We're going to talk a little bit about hometown discounts and what maybe the Buffalo Bills own Richie Incognito or the other way around when we return. For over 25 years, Hillside Work Scholarship Connection has empowered youth to embrace their dreams of college and careers. Thanks to a dedicated staff and employment partners, every year Hillside helps more than 4,000 young men and women move closer to their life goals. Welcome back to the original Rochester Press Box here at the Genesee Brew House. This portion of the Press Box brought to you by the Hillside family of agencies. Michael, the Buffalo Bills are complaining that they're not getting a hometown discount from Richie Incognito. Do they have a case?
Not a hometown discount with him in the case of, I think, especially an NFL player. An NFL player should get every penny he can because we've seen it, even with a guy like Mario Williams that they just cut. At a certain point, when the team wants to set you free, they can set you free. It's different than the other sports. They did give Incognito a chance when he didn't have a lot of people offering him contracts, and the Bills did give him that. I'd say all things being equal or close to equal, I think he owes them that little bit. But that's got to be close to equal or that way. Otherwise, pay him what he deserves or he's going to move on because now other teams have seen him in that role, and I think he's proven himself.
No, he owes him nothing. Richie Incognito owes the Bills nothing. And if anybody understands how fleeting that contracting career can be, it's Richie Incognito. I mean, he was done. Everything was finished. That contract that he had with the Dolphins was for a whole bunch of money, and all of a sudden that contract was gone. And there's a possibility that he signs a whatever hometown discount or you gave me a break discount and something happens in Buffalo next year and he's gone again. He needs to get that 2-3 year deal. It's the last payday he's going to get. And I mean, let's be real. The Bills got him at a premium last year. They got a cheap Pro Bowl guard. You kind of owe him for last season too.
You ever been told professionally that you owe us by your employer?
You know what? It's not something that if you've got to be told that you owe us something, then you've already missed the point. It's something that you've got to feel it. I played for one team for 7 years, and people thought that I should have moved on after that. But I went to this team. I got picked up late by this team. I was released by the team before we went to the finals. I got released because they wanted to bring in another player that would cost less, that was supposed to be just as good, and. So I ended up going to a team, and they kept me. They brought me in. They brought in Rudy Hackett to play with me. We did well, and they said, "Listen, we're going to build a team around you if you want to stay here." And they did so. And I felt like after 7 years, I'd played there, and we'd done a lot of stuff. And I said, "You know what? Now I can move on to try to win, to go to the team I want to win the championship." And I went to a better team after that, and we left. We parted ways. And but if you got to ask. If you're asking, do they owe me something?
I think it's embarrassing when a team goes public with that sentence.
Yeah, I don't think it should go public. I would disagree a little that he doesn't owe them anything because they did give him that opportunity. Sure. But at that point, when it's time for the dollar signs, I think they should, to your point too, say they did get him cheaper last year. And he is a premium player now. I mean, he was a Pro Bowl level player. He really only had maybe a game or two where he wasn't excellent. He probably was their best lineman the whole year, so they should pay him. But I'd like to see him work together. I'm agreeing with you, though. Making it public, I think, is a mistake.
You led the league in yards from carry last year with John Miller and Richie Incognito as your guard. John Miller, I love the kid. It was Richie Incognito getting that 6 yards of carry. They were getting pay the man.
This is the original Rochester Press Box presented by the mighty Genesee Brewhouse. This portion brought to you by the Hillside family of agencies. Like it or not, when we return. As we go to break, it is time for the Turnbull Heating and Air Conditioning Trivia Question of the Week. When you're searching for a local heating and air conditioning contractor, look no further than one of the most reliable teams in the area at Turnbull Heating and Air Conditioning. Is called Turnbull at 343-2005.
And you don't need to be Native American to realize it is offensive. And it's not politically correct. It's the right thing to do.
He was an idiot for throwing him that pitch. The guy's phenomenal. He had no reason to give him anything, especially a fastball to hit.
It's simply that these two guys, Ronaldo and Tom Brady, are too good looking.
I like it, just don't admit to it.
Everybody wants to hate on the best in the world. You know, he's here to stay, and he wants to build something big time.
The bottom line is, still nobody's going to like A-Rod.
As we come back from the break, time for the answer to the Turnbull Heating and Air Conditioning Trivia Question of the Week. When you're searching for a local heating and air conditioning contractor, look no further than one of the most reliable teams in the area at Turnbull Heating and Air Conditioning. Just call 343-2005. See New York in a whole new way. Amtrak is offering a 15% discount for all travel inside New York State and to Montreal. Visit Amtrak.com for the See New York discount. Safe, comfortable, affordable, and easy. Amtrak. Enjoy the journey. Welcome back to the original Rochester Press Box presented by the Genesee Brewhouse. This portion brought to you by Amtrak Trains. Enjoy the journey. Roosevelt Bowie Jr. is here with us. In respect to your dad, I love the sentiment. Roosevelt, like it or not, reasonable expectations for Syracuse in the postseason.
You know, I've got to qualify what I'm going to say. I look at basketball from a ex-player's point of view, which I am super optimistic about everything because you don't get there if you don't believe in everything they can do. Having said that, they are so talented, they're so atypical, they create a problem, they're small on the inside, but they got guys that can rebound. And once that ball comes off the rebound, they're out of there. If you put a clock out there in 4.5 seconds, 5 seconds, they're at the basket at the other end. So if you're playing with big guys my size and you don't score, you're screwed. And they've proven that they really don't have to shoot a super high percentage to win because, you know, the ball wasn't falling in for them, and they're playing against North Carolina, and it's a 5-point game. So I say they're the X factor. They're going to. When I used to play, I used to think when I walked out, I said, I walk on the court and I said, whose day can we ruin today? We're going to ruin somebody's day. We're the team that's going to do it. And I think Syracuse is that team.
God, I really hate that Louisville and Pittsburgh smoked them like they did.
Yeah, and it's going to be close no matter what the NCAA decides. I think they're going to be close one way or the other unless they run through the ACC tournament and win it. I think it's matchups, though. And it's funny, I like their matchup when they play a team like North Carolina. They're not great in the set offense. North Carolina is at its best, I think, when they're running, and that played into what Syracuse did. And they just shot a little bit better. They could have pulled off that upset in that game. They can be a little streaky, but in order to go long in the tournament, you're talking about winning 4, 5, 6 games. We'll see if they can. The one plus for them is there is no great team in college basketball this year. There really isn't. And I think if a team can get hot, they've shown the ability to play up to the level of their opponents.
I'm pulling for Oklahoma. That's a team I really love watching play.
Well, before I say what I'm going to say, Mr. Brew, I'm a big fan, and I love Syracuse basketball, and you're much bigger than me, so we're going to put that there. What postseason expectations for Syracuse? I mean, listen, I love watching this team. What Boeheim has done with what he's had, with all of the suspension and the scholarships taken away, is phenomenal, and I love watching them play. But there's a halfway decent chance that if they don't win the ACC, they're not even going to make this tournament, right? I mean, more eyes around here are on St. Bonaventure than there are on Syracuse right now. I can see this being one of those years, like Rauten's Devendorf kind of year, where it's okay, we're in, here we go, we're the X Factor, and I'm kind of worried about it, and so I'm taking my eggs out of that basket to not be disappointed.
You're right, but I mean, if they end up in the tournament as an 8 or 9 seed and can get by that first game, my point is I'm not scared to death of any 1 seed. They can, at the moment. I mean, I don't know who the team is that you're so afraid of that you think they can't beat. I mean, North Carolina, those teams can end up being 1 seeds by the time it's done, and I think they can't compete. Or to your point, they're in the NIT because they are going to be that close.
You know, they are so. You know, the funny thing is when you're playing in the ACC, you got coaches that have been watching these guys all year. They've been picking them apart. They know how to win. When you get to the NCAA and you're thrown in there with a team that has a few minutes to look at you, they're going to ruin a lot of people's days because on paper, they look like you should play them one way, but they got the X factor. Tyler Lydon might come out and drop 5 threes. And all of a sudden they're like, oh no, what? All it takes is a split second.
Pat, give me a quick answer. Like it or not, Wonderlic test for politicians.
Oh, I mean, it doesn't help us with quarterbacks. Why is it going to help us with the president? No, I don't like it.
I think if you give an intelligence test to a quarterback, the least we ought to do in our election year is to have it with politicians. And I expected more out of you.
Well, okay, Robert Griffin III didn't do well. That turned out for the first. Ryan Fitzpatrick did phenomenal on his, and he fixed himself in Buffalo twice to keep the Jets out of the playoffs last season.
How do you think the politicians would do this year?
I know, that's why I would really be interested in seeing it done. This portion of the original Rochester Press Box has been brought to you by Amtrak Trains. Enjoy the journey. Unfinished Business is next. The Rochester Press Box Stat of the Week, brought to you by Cariglio's Pizza, with 5 locations serving the Rochester area. Visit carigliospizza.com today. Our Rochester Press Box Genesee Brewhouse Fan of the Week is Bill Kirkland from Rochester, who celebrated his 90th birthday with us. He receives a $25 gift certificate from Brewhouse and a Press Box t-shirt from manager Tracy McKinney. Congratulations, Bob. And thanks for watching the Press Box presented by the Genesee Brewhouse. The bigger the burrito, the bigger the fun. Dunkin's new Grande Burrito, a breakfast burrito packed with big Southwest flavor. Go Grande with veggie or sausage today. America runs on Dunkin'. Welcome back. This is the original Rochester Press Box. This portion of the Press Box is brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'. It's unfinished business. Pat.
As a Buffalo Bills season ticket holder, I'm getting a little bit nervous, and not for the team. We're always nervous for the team. I'm getting a little bit nervous that I'm looking at a dead man walking in general manager Doug Whaley, and through no fault of his own, by the way. Had to release Mario Williams. He was due, what, $19 million? Had to go. The contract was designed that way, so the bulk of the money could be cut at the end. Mario Williams, although he did not play last year very well, and actually didn't really play at all last year, was a heck of a player for the Buffalo Bills. He and Doug Whaley and Buddy Nix go out and they bring in arguably the biggest free agent signing in the history of the Buffalo Bills. And we all remember those 2 days where we're just sitting, watching ESPN, watching the internet, watching Facebook and Twitter. Is he going to sign? And he did. And in that one signature, he made the Buffalo Bills a legitimate free agent destination again. It's easy to forget after last season how well Mario Williams played. How about this? If I'm not mistaken, Mario Williams has the 5th most sacks in Buffalo Bills history in like 46 games. He had a great 3 seasons, the 3 or 2 that he wanted to play. It didn't end well. Don't hold that against Doug Whaley. And if we can't re-sign Richie Incognito, or we're bringing in a lot of unrestricted free agent rookies to fill reserve spots, don't blame Doug Whaley. Let's see what happens on the field before we destroy this man and give him a shot to save his job before football is even snapped.
In Mario's case, though, he didn't make a perceptible difference in the one-loss record, so doesn't that make that a failed signing?
Well, I mean, did he not? I don't know. I mean, that defensive line last season won them a couple of games. It could have been much worse. I don't know if that's what you're looking for, but I think he played to his contract.
Looking for a playoff
I think it was an excellent signing. I think he did change the culture of the defense there. I think guys wanted to stay there. You know, guys who re-signed and came back. And I think for the time that he was there, it was a very good 3-year signing. The 4th year wasn't so good, and he did kind of quit on the team, and I think that did not play well in the locker room, and I think in that room, to a man, they would tell you it's a good thing that he's gone.
Mr. Bowie, what do you got for us?
Well, basketball. You know, we're looking at professional basketball in the Rochester area. There's a new league that's coming around, the Champions League. It's NBA. The players have to have an NBA resume. At least 3 years. A lot of players will have 8 to 10 years in there, and they're playing in NBA cities, but during the summer. But during the winter, they want to travel around and let people see what they're about. Rochester, Syracuse, Buffalo area. So
this is going to happen, and you're kind of running things in this area, right?
Yes, I was called down for a meeting with a gentleman, the CEO, his name is Carl George, and we talked it all through. There's some big details. There was a gentleman that sits on the board of NASCAR, so it's very well funded. They're just dotting the I's and crossing the T's. It's pretty exciting.
Very nice.
It'll be good. I'll make this quick. The Patriots did it right again. What they did was they avoided the confrontation that was going to happen between Tom Brady and the team when that contract was up. Brady says he can play till he's 45 years old. We don't know if that's going to happen. We know he can play till he's 38 or 39. That deal was supposed to be up in 17. They extend him 2 more years. It goes to 2019. At that point, he'll be 42. He will likely be done torturing the Bills and torturing the rest of the NFL. And at that point, it's probably within their reach to say, Tom, if you want to keep playing, go ahead. And I think at that point, he might be done. But they avoided what could have gotten ugly within 2 years of making a decision on Tom Brady when he was already past 40 years old. Once again, the evil empire is a little smarter than everybody else.
Yeah, we kind of hope it stays that way. Thank you for joining us at the original Rochester Press Box. Pat, nice job. Thank you very much.
As usual.
As usual.
Really?
The
As
ever
usual?
modest.
Yeah.
Mike, thank you.
You're welcome.
Roosevelt Bowie, nice to meet you for the first time, and thanks for joining us. We'll do this
My
again.
pleasure. Thank
Thank
you.
you for joining us, and we'll see you next week at the original Rochester Press Box.